now. Cleveland Sports Insider, 92.3 The Fan. Cleveland Browns beat reporter, 92.3 The Fan. Hello, Daryl.
Hello, boys.
Daryl, I've caused quite a row this morning. I believe
I'm shocked.
I'm trying to be a responsible person. I believe it's the responsible thing to take Shedeur Sanders and say, no, you're not starting week one almost no matter what. He would have to be otherworldly to start no matter what week one. And the reason behind it is that you go from the first round to the fifth round. I think that has an effect on somebody's psyche. I think that should have an effect on somebody's confidence. I know he's a very confident young man. They've gone about the business of building him back up. Is it responsible then to take that guy and to put him right there with the Browns offense that was dead last, I think, in the NFL in so many ways, and they're worse since 1999 with an expansion team? And I know they'll have some guys back, and I hope it's going to be much better, but I think that's a very risky thing to do with a young man who has the type of potential that Shedeur Sanders has to do that week one against the Cincinnati Bengals. Daryl, go.
I don't think you're going to have to worry about it because I don't think he's starting week one.
Do you think the Browns agree with me then?
Yes.
Yeah, take that, Lima.
I don't think that they're in a hurry to put this kid on the field.
That wasn't what we were arguing at all.
That's not the argument.
Yeah, that wasn't the argument. Sorry, Daryl. I mean to interrupt you.
No, it's all right.
We're still arguing.
Daryl, Ken's going to put you into his corner because he got backed into so many corners earlier.
But I fought out every single corner.
You lost.
I was like Rocky against Drago. I knocked you both out. Go ahead there, Daryl.
Yeah, I don't think that they're in a hurry to put him on the field, and that's not a slight on Shedeur. I think that considering he is a fifth-round pick, you're asking a lot to have him start week one. There are things in his game that they are working with him to eliminate so that once he does get out there, he has an opportunity to be successful. Kenny Pickett, they really like and want to see what he can do for them. You have obviously Joe Flacco in the room. And then Dylan Gabriel, who they picked 50 picks before they took Shedeur as a third-round selection. They like him too. So for me, I don't care how many Shedeur highlights we post on our X accounts. He's the fourth quarterback right now in this four-man race. Now, that can change between now and the end of training camp, but I think it would be a stretch right now to think that he's going to leapfrog the three guys in front of him and start week one against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, Daryl, right now, obviously, we're talking about OTAs. There's no pass rush. They're not wearing pads. So
this is the time of year, Anthony, where you're supposed to look really, really good.
Yeah. That's you've seen this before. Like how many terrible Browns quarterbacks have looked good in OTAs?
Brandon Weeden was being fitted for gold jackets in Canton during OTAs and minicamp and training camp. Then they put a defense on the field, and we all said, oh, you know what? Including Brandon Weeden.
Daryl Ruiter joining us here. He's brought to you by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. Well, it's a tough comparison to make with those guys, but either way, I get what you're saying here. Daryl, as we go through, let me ask you this. I said yesterday, I think Jerry Jeudy is underratedly the most important Cleveland Brown because I think he has to help get the offense going with whoever is the quarterback of this football team to start off the season to hopefully get guys going the right way because the rest of the wide receiver room after him is a giant question mark at best.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that about Jerry Jeudy?
I would agree with the rest of the receiver room being a giant question mark, if not mess. But yeah, I mean, they need him to replicate what he did last year. That you need another 1,000-yard season out of him. You need him and David Njoku to be going back and forth as far as the team lead in touchdowns. Because when you look at the rest of the receiving room, Ken, there's a lot of questions. They like Cedric Tillman a lot, but can he stay healthy for 17 games and can he be a significant contributor? Michael Woods, it's at some point need to see if this kid can do it. He's a 6th-round pick from 2022. David Bell, similar situation. 3rd-round pick from that same draft class. So Jamari Thrash, what can he do? So yeah, outside of Jerry Jeudy, I don't know what they have in that wide receiver room at this point. And for me, I think that's, we always laugh about waiver claims after the cut down to 53, but I think Andrew Berry is going to be scouring the waiver wire looking for wide receivers at the end of August here.
Daryl, of the non-quarterbacks, when it comes to rookies, who has stood out the most to you?
Well, Quinshon Judkins has been fantastic. But again, there's no real blocking up front. There's no contact. You can't tell what's a 2-yard loss versus a 5-yard gain, or did he really get through and break free? But where he has really caught my attention, Anthony, is when they really go outside the tackles. You see that burst from him. And I've said wow a few times, I'm not going to lie, and I admit that, knowing that this is the time of year where everybody should look like they're a future Hall of Famer in the making. But when you see him up close and he's doing the individual drills with Deuce Staley there, like, you see why they picked him. You really do. And so I think he is going to be very exciting this fall for Browns fan to watch.
Daryl, when you look at the running back room, where does Jerome Ford fit? Does Quinshon Judkins automatically outpace him, or is there an earning that he has to do?
I have Quinshon number 1, and then as far as the number 2 back, I think it's either Jerome Ford or Dylan Sampson. And look, I mean, Jerome's been here for a few years. 4th, 5th round pick, I think, in the 22 draft, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. He's been here for a few years. And look, we've seen glimpses from him. And this is, I think, his, real opportunity this year to show that he can, handle significant weight offensively. But there is a reason why they drafted 2 running backs, Ken. Let's be honest about it. So, and then, Pierre Strong is also in that room. I think they'll keep 3 running backs. So for me, it's going to be Pierre Strong and Jerome Ford vying for that 3rd spot on the roster.
Okay, I'll take that. Go ahead, Tone.
Daryl, editorial boards at the Akron Beacon Journal and the Plain Dealer seem to be against the move of the Cleveland Browns to Brook Park and the Dome. You've been all over this, reporting on this better than anybody else. There's some polling data that shows Clevelanders are against this move. Daryl, if that is the case, should the Haslams get whatever they want despite all of that?
Well, look, the governor has already set the funding aside because he likes the project. The House has done the same thing. I completely disagree with how the House set the money aside with doing straight bonding, because that does affect the state general fund, the credit rating, and all those type of things, and the state's ability to do what they should be doing statewide. The Senate came up with an interesting plan, the Finance Committee, that's going to be voted on here. And if the Senate approves the $600 million earmark for the stadium, the Browns are pretty much home, because now you got all 3, branches there, the governor, the House, and the Senate, all saying, we love the project. The Haslam Sports Group should get the funding for it. And then they'll just go in the conference committee and figure out the mechanism for doing that. The state has $4.8 billion in unclaimed funds that are sitting there and collecting dust. If anything, greatest public service announcement ever. I found about $50 when I went on the state website looking at unclaimed
it's
funds.
Your money and you wanted it
I've
now.
seen a bunch of that. What happens if that fund gets raided by all the individuals that money's supposed to go to? Then where's the money coming from?
Well, let's just put it this way. I would be stunned if $4.8 billion has disappeared within the last week there, Anthony, because this isn't money that just got there. This is money that's 10, 15, 20 years old. And sure, yeah, I would advise everybody in the state to go on the website, put in your information. It took me about a minute to do. And it'll probably take a little longer if you're doing it for a deceased loved one or a loved one that you're caring for. There's probably some more information that's required there, but it took me 60 seconds. But the fund is protected. The Browns would be on the hook for about $100 million in $100 million in penalties if they because the number one complaint from the politicians are that basically, besides the fact that it's not in downtown Cleveland, but from a fiscal perspective is, well, the Browns overinflated their numbers when it comes to projected tax revenues for the complex. Well, what they're saying in Columbus now is, well, you need to set $50 million in an escrow fund aside. If your projections in your complex does not meet what you projected, we get to dip into that fund and pick up the shortfall. So the state isn't on the hook. And if that first $50 million expires, the Browns have to put in another $50 million to cover it. So there's basically a $100 million insurance policy here to protect the state from the Browns, overinflating the numbers and that complex coming up short when it comes to funding. So the escheatment from the unclaimed funds fund of $1.7 billion next January, and giving the Browns $600 million, and then you have $1.1 billion set aside for other stadium and cultural projects around the state. For money that's just sitting there collecting dust and has been for over a decade. I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. But yeah, there's no question. There's a strong opposition to the project locally. Again, they're basically a vote away in the Senate from them getting the funding that they've requested for this project.
Dangerous Daryl joining us on the show, which, by the way, I forgot that you could look up for dead relatives. I looked up my mother. No dice, but I also had to confirm that I wasn't a robot. So there's definitely an influx of people trying to check this out here. So that was a very big public service announcement if you're talking about that, Daryl. Daryl Ruiter joining us here on the show. Shane Bieber, how big is this, a blow yet, or what are we thinking here with this guy, where he was supposed to pitch today? He was originally supposed to pitch Thursday, then he's supposed to pitch today, and now we're going to reevaluate. I feel terrible right now. Make me feel better.
I'm with you. Don't want to jump to any conclusions. Hopefully the Guardians will have some good news later today at the ballpark. Houston's in town. But I always get nervous, Ken, when there's elbow soreness after Tommy John surgery. So we'll see what they say. But right now, I'm a little nervous about this situation.
Daryl, are the Cavs off the hook if the Pacers go on to win the championship?
Oh, wow.
No, I think it certainly makes things, it's already challenging for them. But there are three teams that one they didn't beat, and two more teams that I don't think, looking back on things, they would have beaten. I don't think they would have beaten the Knicks. And even if they would have gotten through the Eastern Conference, I don't think they would have beaten the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's just a different style of play for those three teams, and I don't think that the Cavaliers would have matched up with New York or the Thunder. Now that we saw what happened against the Pacers, because Oklahoma City to me is like the Pacers on steroids with the way they play. And what a win by Indiana last night. But we know about it. The Bucks know about it. The Knicks know about it. They've done this all playoffs. They have come back from at least 15 down in every series they have been in. Just their resolve is incredible. So no, if the Pacers go on to win this series, Cavs aren't off the hook, not by any stretch of the imagination. But this is the fun part. You got a great regular season team that is a contender in the playoffs. But now the challenge is for Kobe Altman to come up with moves that can position this organization to compete for an NBA championship. That's the challenge for them this offseason. They are absolutely not off the hook if the Pacers win it, though.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think a lot of fans agree with you, Daryl. Daryl, thank you very much for the time. I want you to have a wonderful weekend, and congratulations on the $50, brother. Spend it wisely.
I will spend that wisely.
Sensational Daryl Ruiter, brought to you by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.